The stars above Orion 6 shined brightly, peaceful as always. But peace was a lie. A fleet of Union warships moved silently in the dark, their weapons charged and ready. Inside the colony, humans were unaware of the danger approaching. Commander Briggs stood in the control center, looking at the latest reports. Orion 6 was an important colony, rich in resources, home to millions of humans, and a symbol of Earth's growing power in the galaxy. But trouble had been brewing for months. The Galactic Union, a powerful alliance of alien species, had started placing unfair restrictions on human trade. They claimed it was for balance, but everyone knew the truth. They feared humanity's rise. Briggs sipped his coffee, a habit he never dropped even after years of service. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Harris, rushed in, looking worried. "Sir, long-range sensors have picked up something. It's a fleet. A big one." Briggs frowned and turned to the holoscreen. His heart sank. Dozens of Union battleships were closing in fast. Their shields were up, weapons armed. "This isn't a patrol," Briggs muttered. "They're coming for us." The alarm blared across Orion 6. Soldiers ran to their stations, pilots rushed to their fighters, and civilians hurried to shelters. But they all knew this wasn't a fair fight. The colony had defenses, but against a full Union fleet, survival was nearly impossible. Then, a transmission came through. A Union admiral appeared on the screen. His reptilian face showed no emotion. "Commander Briggs, Orion 6 is in violation of Union law. You are ordered to surrender immediately." Briggs clenched his fists. "Violation. We followed every rule. We signed every treaty." The admiral's eyes narrowed. "Humanity's expansion is dangerous. The Union has decided that you must be contained." Briggs felt rage boiling inside him. Humanity had worked hard to earn its place in the stars. They had helped the Union, fought side by side with other species in past wars, and shared technology. And now, betrayal. He took a deep breath. "Orion 6 will not surrender." The admiral sighed. "Then you leave us no choice." The transmission cut off, and chaos erupted. Missiles rained from the sky, crashing into defense stations. Explosions shook the ground. Fighter squadrons launched from the colony, meeting the Union ships in brutal combat. But the enemy had overwhelming numbers. Briggs ran to the command center. "Send a distress signal to Earth." "Now." "Already done, sir," Harris shouted. "But it'll take hours to reach them." Hours they did not have. The enemy was advancing fast. Union ground forces landed, marching through the streets. Human soldiers fought bravely, setting up barricades, using everything they had. But for every enemy they took down, more arrived. Briggs watched the battle unfold on the screens. His people were outnumbered, outgunned, but not broken. In the industrial sector, workers refused to flee. Instead, they turned mining lasers into weapons, rigged construction mechs for combat, and set traps. A squad of Union soldiers entered a warehouse, only for the roof to collapse on them, triggered by human engineers. In the sky, pilots fought like demons. They used hit-and-run tactics, flying through the narrow spaces between buildings, forcing the Union ships to chase them, right into traps set with anti-air turrets. But no matter how hard they fought, the Union kept pushing forward. Briggs knew what this meant. They couldn't win. His hands tightened into fists. "We need to get as many people off-world as possible." Harris nodded. "The evacuation ships are ready, but they'll be shot down before they reach orbit." Briggs thought fast. If they were going to die, they would make the Union pay for every inch. "Get me a direct line to all remaining forces," he ordered. Within seconds, his voice echoed through the colony. "This is Commander Briggs. We are humanity's first line of defense. We are outnumbered, but we will not fall without a fight. Every second we hold them back is another second for our people to escape. Give them hell." A loud cheer erupted through the comms. And so, the battle continued. In the Eastern District, civilians armed themselves and fought alongside soldiers. In the Central Plaza, a team of engineers hacked into a captured Union tank, turning it against its owners. In the underground tunnels, doctors and medics worked tirelessly to treat the wounded, refusing to give up hope. Briggs kept directing forces, but his heart grew heavier with every loss. The Union was winning. Then, Harris gasped, "Sir, we have an incoming transmission from Earth." The screen flickered, and Admiral Holt's face appeared. His expression was grim. "Briggs, we received your message. Reinforcements are on the way, but they won't reach you in time. I'm sorry." Briggs closed his eyes for a moment. He had known the answer before asking. Holt continued, "We can't let the Union think they can destroy us easily. You must hold the line as long as possible. The longer you last, the more time we have to prepare. Do you understand?" Briggs exhaled. "Understood, sir." Holt gave him a firm nod. "You are making history today, Commander. The whole galaxy will remember Orion 6. The transmission ended. Briggs turned back to the battlefield. Smoke filled the air. Fires raged. The once thriving colony was now a war zone. Harris stepped forward. "Sir, what now?" Briggs stared at the chaos and made his decision. "We fight." And with that, Orion 6 became the first battleground in humanity's war for survival. The war had begun. Orion 6 was gone, reduced to burning ruins. The last human defenders had fought until the end, giving their people time to escape. Some civilians had made it off-world, but many had not. The Galactic Union had declared victory, but they had made a mistake. They believed humanity was broken. They believed wrong. On Earth, the war room inside the Terran Defense Command was silent as the leaders watched the destruction of Orion 6 on their screens. Smoke and debris filled the colony's sky. Thousands of lives lost, millions now without a home. Admiral Holt stood at the center of the room, his jaw tight. His officers waited for his words. Every face around him showed the same determination. The Union wanted humanity to be afraid. Instead, they had given them a reason to fight. Holt took a deep breath and spoke. "The Union thinks we will beg for mercy. They think they have won." He looked at his officers. "We will show them how wrong they are." A murmur of agreement ran through the room. General Marcus, an experienced ground commander, stepped forward. "We can't fight them in a direct war. They have more ships, more soldiers, more resources, but we have something better." "Brains," muttered Captain Dane, a tactical officer. "They rely on strength. We rely on strategy." Holt nodded. "The Union is big and slow. We will strike where they least expect it. Fast and hard." He turned to his officers. "Prepare Operation Shadowfang. It's time for humanity's first strike." Aboard the HSS Viper, the first attack. 1 week later, a Union fleet patrolled the Vega 9 sector. These ships were strong, built for power, not speed. They didn't fear attacks. After all, who would dare strike them? The answer came in the form of 3 small human warships, moving like shadows through the asteroid belt. The HSS Viper, a stealth-class battleship, led the mission. Inside, Captain Reed and his crew prepared for battle. Unlike the Union's massive fleets, humanity's ships were fast, smart, and deadly. "Targets locked," whispered the weapons officer, Jenna. "Fire," Reed ordered. The first torpedoes launched. But these weren't normal weapons. They disguised themselves as debris, slipping past Union shields. Seconds later, boom! The first Union warship exploded, split in half before the crew even knew what hit them. The second ship turned, but before they could react, the HSS Viper was already moving, attacking from another angle. "Enemy ships are confused," Jenna said. "They don't know where we are." Reed grinned. "Good." For years, humanity had studied Union tactics. They had found weaknesses. The Union relied on brute strength. expecting their enemies to fight head-on. Humans, they fought smart. In less than 4 minutes, the mighty Union patrol fleet was gone. The Vega 9 sector was now under human control. The galaxy had witnessed its first human victory. The news spreads, fear and anger. The attack on Vega 9 spread across the galaxy like wildfire. For the first time, the Union felt fear. Inside the Union High Command, leaders from different alien species gathered, their voices filled with anger. This was supposed to be an easy war, growled Admiral Vorkin, a high-ranking officer. Humans were supposed to surrender. They are fighting like wild animals, spat Counselor Grevik, his green-scaled skin twitching. They are using tricks, not honor. But another voice spoke, calm and serious. Chancellor Virak, leader of the Union, watched the battle reports. This is not wild fighting, he said. This is strategy. They are not reckless. They are dangerous. Silence filled the room. Then what do we do? Vorkin asked. Virak's eyes narrowed. We crush them before they grow stronger. Humanity strikes again. While the Union planned, humanity kept moving. Using intelligence gathered by spies, human forces targeted supply stations, communication relays, and fuel depots. On the frozen moon of Xerion 4, a human team led by Sergeant Cole infiltrated a Union base. Moving through the snow, they disabled enemy defenses, allowing human ships to bomb the station from orbit. On Station Delta 5, a group of engineers hacked into Union systems, shutting down shields and causing chaos across multiple sectors. Every day, the Union lost ground. Every day, humans grew bolder. The turning point. The final blow of the first phase of the war came on New Europa, a major supply world for the Union. A massive battle took place in orbit, with Union forces expecting an easy defense. But humanity had a secret weapon, an experimental EMP bomb that could shut down electronics across an entire planet. In a daring maneuver, a human stealth ship slipped past defenses and detonated the EMP in the upper atmosphere. In seconds, every Union warship, base, and defense system shut down. Human forces stormed the planet, capturing supplies, weapons, and most importantly, information. The victory was complete. Aftermath. The Union's worst nightmare. The battle reports were clear. Humanity had just done the impossible. They had taken down a major Union supply world with minimal losses. They had proven they were not weak. On Earth, Admiral Holt received the final transmission from New Europa. He leaned back in his chair and exhaled. They thought we were weak, he said. Now they know the truth. Standing beside him, General Marcus smirked. Now they're afraid. For the first time in history, the Galactic Union feared humanity. And this was just the beginning. The galaxy was no longer the same. After humanity's surprise victories in Vega 9, Xerion 4, and New Europa, the Union faced a truth they never expected. Humans were not weak. They were not afraid. They were not backing down. The Union had declared war. Now, humanity was preparing to win it. Earth turns to war. Deep inside Terran Defense Command, Admiral Holt stood in front of a giant holomap, displaying every active battle across the galaxy. The room was filled with military leaders, engineers, scientists, and strategists. The air was heavy with determination. Holt's voice was calm but firm. The Union underestimated us. They thought we would surrender. His eyes scanned the room. They thought we couldn't fight back. He tapped the holomap, and the image changed, showing Earth's growing war industry. But now, Holt continued, we show them what humans can really do. Around the world, factories work day and night, producing new warships, weapons, and armor. Scientists developed advanced AI targeting systems, making human ships more accurate and deadly. Engineers designed faster, stronger spacecraft, able to outmaneuver the Union's larger fleets. And in every city, millions of people volunteered. Soldiers, pilots, Engineers, spies, hackers. Humanity was not just fighting. They were evolving. New weapons, new tactics. In the massive orbital shipyard 12, Captain Dane inspected humanity's latest creation, the HSS Titan, the first of its kind. It wasn't the biggest warship in the galaxy, but it was the deadliest. Equipped with stealth plating to evade enemy sensors, plasma railguns that could punch through Union shields, a new AI battle system that predicted enemy movements in real time. Dane ran his hand along the smooth metal hull. They won't see us coming. Beside him, Chief Engineer Lara smiled. They'll know when it's too late. Meanwhile, in a secret base on Luna, scientists worked on another project. Project Shadow Strike. A fleet of small, unmanned drones designed for one thing: hit and run attacks. These will confuse the enemy, said Dr. Miller, explaining to a group of officers. They will never know if they are fighting real ships or just decoys. Humanity was not just fighting back. They were changing the rules of war. The Union's fear grows. Inside the Union High Command, Chancellor Viewership listened as his military leaders argued. The latest reports were alarming. Human forces had won another battle, this time in the Helia sector. Impossible. Admiral Vorkin slammed his fist on the table. They are outnumbered. They are outsmarting us, Counselor Grevik admitted, his voice bitter. They attack where we are weak. They strike and vanish before we can react. Viewership leaned forward. Then we must change our strategy. We must hit them before they grow even stronger. A new plan was formed. A direct strike at Earth. We send our largest fleet, Vorkin growled. We crush them before they become a real threat. The Union believed this would end the war. But they didn't know what was waiting for them. The trap at Titan's Rift. The Union's massive battle fleet Sigma moved toward Earth, ready to strike. Hundreds of warships, thousands of fighters, the largest fleet ever assembled against humanity. But Admiral Holt had been expecting them. At Titan's Rift, a narrow passage of space filled with asteroid fields and strong gravity wells, the human fleet waited. His Titan led the formation. Dozens of human warships hid among the asteroids. And the moment the Union fleet entered the rift, the trap was sprung. The battle begins. The first Union ships entered the rift, scanning for human forces. They saw nothing. Then, a sudden explosion. A Union destroyer vanished in a fireball, torn apart by hidden mines. Before the fleet could react, the human warships attacked. Stealth ships emerged from the asteroids, striking fast. Plasma railguns tore through Union hulls. Fighters weaved through the chaos, hitting weak points in enemy defenses. The Union fleet panicked. They're everywhere, a Union commander shouted. Admiral Vorkin gritted his teeth. Pull back. Regroup. But it was too late. Human drones, part of Project Shadow Strike, flooded the battlefield. Union weapons wasted energy firing at decoys, while real human ships destroyed their targets one by one. And then came the final blow. SS Titan fired its main cannon. A powerful plasma railgun shot tore through the Union flagship, splitting it in two. The explosion shook the rift. The remaining Union forces had no choice. They retreated. Humanity had just defeated the largest fleet ever sent against them. Aftermath. Humanity rises. Back on Earth, celebrations erupted. Humanity had not just survived. They had won. Inside the war room, Admiral Holt stood before his officers. The war was far from over, but today proved something undeniable. We were supposed to lose, Holt said. We were supposed to fall. He looked around. But now, the Union knows the truth. Humanity will not be defeated. General Marcus grinned. Now, it's our turn to take the fight to them. Across the stars, the message was clear. The war machine had awakened, and humanity was coming. The battle at Titan's Rift had changed everything. The Galactic Union had suffered its worst defeat. Their largest fleet, meant to crush humanity, had been destroyed. Their leaders were in shock. Their soldiers, once confident, now hesitated before engaging human forces. And humanity. They were just getting started. Earth's plan for war. In the war room of Terran Defense Command, Admiral Holt stood before a massive holomap surrounded by his top officers. The map displayed the latest war zones, some areas still under Union control, others where humanity had gained ground. Holt's voice was steady. "We are no longer defending. We are attacking." He pointed to several key locations on the map. The Union controls thousands of worlds. We cannot fight them everywhere at once. But we don't need to. We will target their weak spots. General Marcus nodded. We hit their supply lines. We disrupt their trade. We turn their own people against them. Captain Dane, leader of the fleet's stealth division, grinned. We make them fear the dark. A new strategy was forming. Humanity wouldn't fight a war of numbers. They would fight a war of intelligence, speed, and precision. And their next target? Velos 3, a critical fuel station deep inside Union space. The infiltration of Velos 3. The Velos 3 station was heavily guarded. It was the main fuel supply for Union fleets in the sector. Without it, their ships would be stranded, unable to move. Taking it down would cripple the enemy. But a direct attack would be suicide. So, humanity used a different approach. Inside a stolen Union transport ship, a team of elite human operatives, disguised as workers, approached the station. Their leader, Sergeant Cole, adjusted his fake Union ID and took a deep breath. "Remember the plan," he whispered through his comm. "No alarms, no mistakes." The transport docked. The team moved inside, blending in with the workers. Everything was going smoothly. Until one of the guards stopped them. I don't recognize you," the alien officer growled, staring at Cole. Cole smiled calmly. "First day." The alien narrowed his eyes. The tension in the air thickened. Then, boom. A sudden explosion rocked the station. The lights flickered. Alarms blared. It was part of the plan. Another human team had sabotaged the reactor. In the confusion, Cole's team moved fast, planting charges on the fuel tanks. Within minutes, they were back on their ship, racing away. Behind them, Velos 3 erupted in a massive fireball, taking thousands of enemy ships and resources with it. Another victory, another message to the Union. Humanity was not stopping. Union desperation. Back in Union High Command, Chancellor Viewership sat in silence, staring at the reports. More human attacks, more losses, more failures. "This is impossible," Admiral Vorkin muttered. "They are a small species. How are they doing this?" Councillor Grevik slammed a fist on the table. "Because they are fighting differently. We use strength. They use intelligence." Viewership sighed. He knew Grevik was right. The Union had always been the most powerful force in the galaxy. Their fleets were massive, their armies endless. They had won every war before. But humanity was different. "They are not just fighting us," Viewership said. "They are changing the war itself." The room fell silent. Finally, Vorkin spoke. "Then we must change too." For the first time in history, the Union began adapting. The Battle of Nova 7. Humanity's next target was Nova 7, a shipyard world producing Union warships. If they could destroy it, they would delay the enemy's ability to build more fleets. But this time, the Union was ready. When the human fleet arrived, they found a trap waiting for them. Dozens of Union ships emerged from hiding. Hundreds of enemy fighters swarmed the area. The humans had walked right into an ambush. Admiral Holt, aboard the HS Titan, realized the danger immediately. "All ships, evasive maneuvers," he ordered. The battle erupted in chaos. Plasma beams and missile fire filled space. Human ships, faster and more agile, weaved through enemy formations, striking weak points. But the Union had learned from their past mistakes. They used new formations, better coordination, and countered human hit-and-run tactics. For the first time in the war, humanity was struggling. The fleet was outnumbered. Ships were taking heavy damage. It looked like a defeat, until one pilot changed everything. The hero of Nova 7, Lieutenant Ryan, piloting a small attack craft, saw the battle turning against them. He had an idea, a crazy, impossible idea. But impossible was what humans did best. "Command, I'm going in," Ryan said. Before anyone could stop him, he turned his ship toward Nova 7 itself. His target, the Planetary Defense Control Center. Weaving through enemy fire, dodging missiles by inches, he flew straight toward the enemy command tower. Alarms blared in the Union base. They fired everything they had. But they couldn't stop him. Ryan crashed his ship directly into the control center. The explosion shut down every planetary defense system. And in that moment, the human fleet launched their final attack. With the defenses down, human bombers rained destruction on Nova 7. Shipyards exploded. Factories collapsed. The entire planet fell in flames. The humans had won again. But they had also lost a hero. Ryan's sacrifice became a legend. His last words, recorded before impact, spread across the fleet. For Earth, the Union's nightmare. Back in Union High Command, the leaders sat in silence. Humanity had survived another trap. They had destroyed another key world. And worst of all, they had become an idea, a symbol of resistance. Other species, once loyal to the Union, began whispering, if humans could fight back, maybe others could too. Chancellor Viewership clenched his fists. This war was no longer about defeating humanity. It was about stopping them before the entire galaxy followed their example. The war had changed, and humanity was winning. The destruction of Nova 7 sent shockwaves across the galaxy. The Galactic Union had suffered yet another defeat. Their shipyards were gone. Their fleets were weakened. And worst of all, other species had started to notice. For the first time in history, the Union was losing control. Whispers of rebellion. Across the stars, planets under Union rule began to question their loyalty. On Zereth Prime, a mining colony controlled by the Union for over a century, a group of workers gathered in secret. They had seen the human victories. They had heard the name Ryan, the pilot who sacrificed himself for his people. If humans can stand up to the Union, one miner said, gripping his tool like a weapon, why can't we? Similar whispers spread on other worlds. Vornak, Trilix, Orcs 5. The Union had ruled with fear. But now fear was turning against them. The Union leaders saw the problem growing. They had to crush humanity before rebellion spread further. And so, they planned their most ruthless attack yet, the assault on Mars. The Union realized something important. Earth was too well defended. But Mars was different. The Red Planet was a vital part of humanity's war effort. It had shipyards, training facilities, and military bases, but it wasn't as heavily protected as Earth. Destroying Mars would be a major blow to humanity's war machine. So the Union gathered a massive invasion force and launched a surprise attack. The battle begins. Inside Mars Command Center, General Marcus stared at the incoming fleet. Hundreds of enemy ships, thousands of soldiers. A full-scale invasion. Alert all forces, Marcus shouted. This is it, people. We hold Mars, or we lose everything. Human fighters launched from the surface, racing to intercept the enemy. The skies above Mars turned into a battlefield of fire and steel. Explosions filled the air as human warships clashed with Union cruisers. Laser fire cut through the darkness, ships burning as they fell toward the planet below. On the ground, human soldiers prepared for the worst. Dropships filled with Union troops were descending, ready to take the cities and bases. Captain Dane, leading the ground defense, gripped his rifle. We don't let them take a single inch, he told his soldiers. They want Mars. Let's show them how hard it is to take. As the enemy landed, the real battle began. Urban warfare. The streets of New Olympus, the largest city on Mars, became a war zone. Union troops, taller, stronger, armored in advanced technology, pushed forward, expecting an easy victory. But humans fought differently. They used the terrain, the buildings, the tunnels. Every street became a deadly trap. Snipers hid in the ruins, taking out Union commanders. Small strike teams ambushed enemy convoys, using homemade explosives to cripple armored walkers. And in the skies, human bombers rained destruction on enemy strongholds. The Union soldiers realized something terrifying. Humans never fought fair, and they never gave up. Titan falls. But then, disaster struck. One of Mars' biggest warships, HS Titan, was hit by a direct strike from a Union dreadnought. The mighty ship, a symbol of human strength, fell from the sky, crashing into the desert with a fiery explosion. For a moment, silence fell over the battlefield. The Union soldiers cheered. They believed this was the turning point. But they didn't understand humans, because instead of surrendering, the humans got angrier. The final stand. With Titan gone, the last line of defense was Olympus Base, the main command center for Mars. The Union sent everything they had: tanks, walkers, elite shock troops. But Marcus and his soldiers stood their ground, even when they were outnumbered, even when they were running low on ammo. Even when the Union broke through the gates, they fought with knives, fists, and whatever they had left. Because this was Mars, and Mars belonged to humanity. The turning point. As the battle raged on, something unexpected happened. Across the galaxy, watching the invasion on hidden broadcasts, many species saw something they never imagined. Humans fighting like demons. Humans refusing to bow. Humans proving that the Union was not invincible. And on Zereth Prime, the miners saw enough. Enough talk, one of them growled, gripping his weapon. It's time to fight. Across the planet, a full-scale rebellion erupted. And then another. And another. The Union's worst nightmare had begun. Their empire was starting to collapse from within. Victory at a cost. Back on Mars, the battle was reaching its climax. The Union forces, expecting an easy victory, were now trapped in a brutal fight for survival. Then the sky lit up. A new fleet of human warships arrived. Reinforcements from Earth. The Union commanders, seeing the tide turning, gave the order: retreat. The invasion had failed. Mars was still human. The war changes forever. As the dust settled, General Marcus stood among the ruins of Olympus Base. His soldiers were battered, exhausted, but victorious. "We held Mars," he said, looking at the men and women who had fought beside him. "We proved that humanity doesn't just survive. We win." But deep in his mind, he knew the Union wasn't finished. They would come back, stronger than ever. And humanity would be ready. Because now, they were no longer fighting alone. Across the stars, rebellions had started. The Union's empire was crumbling. And it had all begun with humanity's warpath. The Union's empire was breaking apart. After their defeat on Mars, after the rebellions on Zereth Prime and other colonies, the Union leaders realized a terrible truth. They were losing control. For centuries, they had ruled with fear, but fear was no longer enough. Planets were rising against them. Their fleets were stretched thin. Their armies were fighting not just humans, but their own former allies. And humanity. Humanity was coming for them. Earth's next move. In the war room of Terran High Command, Admiral Holt looked at the latest reports. "Our attacks have worked," he said. "The Union is weak. Now, we take the fight to their heart." General Marcus leaned forward. "What's the target?" "Their capital world. Prime Nexus." The room fell silent. Prime Nexus was the center of the Union's power, a fortress world surrounded by defense fleets, planetary shields, and elite soldiers. Attacking it would be madness. But Holt smiled. That's why they won't expect it. The humans had fought guerrilla warfare until now. Hit-and-run strikes, surprise attacks, sabotage. But this would be an all-out invasion. And it would end the war. The battle plan. The strategy was simple but risky. Humanity's fleet would launch a direct assault on Prime Nexus, drawing the enemy's attention. Meanwhile, an elite infiltration team would land on the planet and disable the planetary shields, leaving the Union's capital defenseless. If they succeeded, the entire Union government would be exposed. If they failed, the war might be lost forever. And so, the invasion fleet prepared for battle. The assault begins. The human fleet arrived at Prime Nexus with fire and fury. Thousands of Union ships stood in their way, ready to defend their homeworld. All ships, engage. Admiral Holt ordered. The battle exploded across space. Human warships, smaller but faster, weaved through the massive Union dreadnoughts. Missiles and plasma beams lit up the darkness. Fighters clashed in dogfights, while battleships fired their heavy cannons. The Union fought with desperation, but humanity fought with purpose. And while the enemy was distracted, a small stealth ship slipped past the chaos and descended toward the planet. The strike team lands. Sergeant Cole led the infiltration team as they landed near the shield generator complex. "Move fast, stay quiet," he ordered. The team moved through the city, blending in with the chaos of civilians running for cover. They reached the heavily guarded generator facility. Union soldiers were everywhere. Cole checked his weapon. No alarms, no mistakes. Let's end this war. The team moved in, fighting in the heart of the Union. The battle inside the generator complex was brutal. The humans struck first, taking out the guards silently. But as they planted explosives on the shield generators, alarms blared. The Union forces swarmed in. Gunfire erupted. Explosions shook the facility. Cole's team fought with everything they had. Every second mattered. Detonating charges in 10 seconds. One of the soldiers shouted. A Union officer lunged at Cole, knocking his rifle away. They fought hand-to-hand, struggling for control. Then, boom! The explosives detonated. The planetary shields collapsed. And above them, the sky turned red as humanity's fleet began its final attack. The fall of Prime Nexus. With the shields down, human warships rained destruction on the Union's capital. Union soldiers panicked. Some tried to fight, others surrendered immediately. The people of Prime Nexus, once loyal citizens, cheered as the Union forces fell. Because they had seen the truth. The Union had lied. The humans weren't conquerors, they were liberators. And now, the entire Union was crumbling. The end of the war. Chancellor Viewership, leader of the Union, stood in his palace, watching his empire fall apart. He had ruled for centuries. He had believed the Union was invincible. Now he saw his mistake. Humans were different. They had something the Union never understood. They fought for more than power. They fought for freedom. As human forces closed in, Viewership surrendered. The war was over. Humanity had won. A new era begins. Months later, Earth and the former Union worlds gathered for peace talks. The war had ended, but the galaxy had changed forever. Many species, once under the Union's rule, now looked to humanity for leadership. General Marcus stood before the new alliance. "We didn't fight this war to rule," he said. "We fought so no one else would have to live under tyranny." A new age was beginning. An age of freedom. An age of humanity. The war was over. After years of bloodshed, humanity had achieved the impossible. The once mighty Galactic Union had fallen. Their fleets were destroyed, their armies defeated, and their capital, Prime Nexus, was now under the control of the newly formed Galactic Alliance. But war never truly ends with a single victory. Now, humanity faced a new challenge, rebuilding the galaxy. And that was not an easy task. The aftermath of war. On Earth, celebrations had lasted for days. The streets were filled with people cheering, waving banners, and honoring the brave soldiers who had fought. But inside Terran High Command, the mood was different. General Marcus, Admiral Holt, and other leaders sat around a war table, looking at the galactic map. "The Union is gone," Marcus said. "But that doesn't mean the fighting is over." Admiral Holt nodded. "Many former Union warlords are still out there. Some planets want independence, while others are looking for revenge." The galaxy was unstable. The fall of the Union had created a power vacuum, and if humanity didn't act fast, another war could begin. "We need to secure peace," Marcus said, "and we need to do it now." The Council of Nations. To prevent chaos, humanity called for a galactic meeting. Leaders from all major species, former Union worlds, neutral factions, and newly freed colonies gathered on New Olympus, a massive space station orbiting Mars. It was the largest gathering of galactic leaders in history. For the first time, humans were not outsiders. They were the ones leading the talks. Some species were hesitant. For centuries, the Union had told them humans were dangerous, aggressive, and reckless. But after seeing how humanity had fought, not for control, but for freedom, they were starting to believe in a different truth. Challenges and threats. Not everyone wanted peace. In the outer sectors, former Union generals refused to surrender. They gathered their remaining ships and prepared for war, believing they could rebuild the Union in secret. On the planet Dralvok, a resistance group declared humanity a new enemy, accusing them of replacing the Union with their own empire. And in the shadows, powerful corporations saw an opportunity to profit from the chaos, selling weapons to anyone willing to fight. The war had ended, but humanity's true test was only beginning. The first steps toward unity. At the council meeting, arguments broke out. Some species wanted independence. Others wanted revenge against the former Union rulers. Some feared that humans were becoming too powerful. General Marcus stood before them. "We did not fight this war to rule over others," he said. "We fought so that no one else would have to live under tyranny. If we do not stand together now, the galaxy will fall into another war." Silence filled the room. And then, the leader of Zereth Prime, the first planet to rebel against the Union, stood up. "We believe in humanity," she said. "You fought for us when no one else would. Now, we will stand with you." One by one, other leaders joined the cause. They agreed to form a new alliance, not an empire, not a dictatorship, but a union of free worlds. And so, the Galactic Federation was born. The last battle. But peace could not be achieved without one final fight. In the dark regions of space, the last Union fleet gathered under the command of Grand Marshal Korvac, one of the most feared military leaders in the galaxy. He refused to accept defeat. "We will rebuild the Union," he declared, "and humanity will be crushed." His fleet launched a surprise attack on the council station, aiming to destroy the leaders of the new alliance in one strike. Defending the future. The alarm sounded. Human and allied warships rushed to defend New Olympus as Korvac's fleet arrived. "This is it," Admiral Holt said. "The last battle." The battle raged in orbit, with human pilots and alien allies fighting side by side. But Korvac was a master strategist. His fleet was powerful, and for a moment, it seemed like he might actually win. Then, a single ship broke through enemy lines. It was the HS Titan Aya, the new flagship of humanity, built after the fall of the original Titan. General Marcus himself led the charge. "We end this now," he shouted. Titan II fired its main cannon, hitting Korvac's flagship directly. The explosion shattered the enemy fleet's formation. The tide turned. One by one, the remaining Union ships fell. And finally, the last warship surrendered. The war was truly over. A new beginning. With Korvac defeated, the last threat to peace was gone. The Galactic Federation officially took control, ensuring that no single species would ever rule with an iron fist again. Humanity had started as the underdogs. Now, they were the guardians of the galaxy's future. Marcus looked out at the stars. "We were once alone in the universe," he said. "Now we have allies. We have a future." And as the new Federation's ships spread across the stars, bringing peace instead of war, one thing became clear. Humanity was no longer just a species. They were a legend. Epilogue. The message from the stars. Years later, deep in space, a small exploration ship detected a strange signal. It was old. Very old. A human scientist listened carefully. It wasn't from a union. It wasn't from any known species. The message simply said, "You are not alone." The scientist's heart raced. Had humanity truly defeated their greatest threat? Or was this just the beginning? The end, for now.